Muy bien, ¿qué onda, banda de 3GB? Ahorita estamos en una oportunidad bastante padre, ya que nos encontramos el día de hoy con James Norris, que es parte del equipo de desarrollo de The Division 2. De Division 2. Él es un senior designer que afortunadamente tuvimos un ratito para platicar con él. Hi, James. Before anything else, please tell us who you are and what is your role in the development team of The Division 2.
Great. Yes, my name is James Norris. I'm a senior game designer for Ubisoft Leamington. We work closely with Massive in the development of The Division 2. Mm-hmm. My primary focus is games as a service, live games, and post-launch content.
All right. So first of all, what's the deal with The Division 2? Where are we? What's happening in the world?
Yeah, so it's roughly 7 months after the events of The Division 1. So things have gotten much worse, as it turns, and this time you're a division agent in Washington, D.C. Many bad things have happened in D.C. since the green poison was introduced. There have been riots. Public services have just stopped completely. There are no more garbage men. The grass is overgrown. It probably smells terrible. And it's not in good shape. And your job as a division agent is to come back in to sort of help society prop themselves back up and prevent the government from collapsing entirely.
All right. The first game was set up in New York. What's the decision behind changing cities in the sequel?
We looked at a number of different places that we could have taken the franchise, and we just felt that Washington, D.C. is something that people all around the world can recognize as a very important part of America and maybe even potentially the world. So to see it in the state of peril, in the state of disrepair that it is in the Division 2, we think that resonates with everybody. In addition to just the narrative reasons for choosing DC, it's also quite a diverse city. There's kind of a nice area of houses with small little streets, very quaint, very pretty. There's the mall, as you see in the background on this photo here, where all of the monuments are from. There's some industrial areas as well. So there's, again, a very diverse set of environments for players to play around in and for us to design.
All right. So talking about many of the systems of the game, one of the problems with the first game was a player identity within the game. Many people thought that they don't have many tools to really personalize their build. What are you guys doing in the sequel to make sure that people can really express themselves in the way they play in the Division?
Right, so we've kind of done an overhaul on our player customization. So there are presets that you can choose from, but now you can also go in and tweak them with sliders as well to make your character look exactly the way that you want, instead of just pretty close to the way that you want. There are still plenty of apparel options for players. You can get those to match the natural progression. They will also be available for purchase should you choose to do so. And then from a build identity standpoint, so we've got the 8 skills, which there were 8 skills in the first one as well, but now these all have individual mods on them as well, so they can be slightly different versions of those skills. On top of that, there's even more abilities and perks on gear than ever before.
Okay.
And then at level 30, we introduce specializations, which is another sort of progression track that you choose, which gives you a very powerful weapon. So either the sharpshooter has a sniper rifle, the demolitionist has an automatic grenade launcher, sharpshooter with the crossbow. Through that tree, you also unlock different skills and talents that apply to your player or the group around you. So the level of build diversity in the Division 2 is far, far greater than it was in the Division 1.
All right, perfect. Great to hear. This type of game is really hard to get right on the first try. I mean, you have to do many iterations to really balance every system in the game. For instance, in the first game, you guys made a really great overhaul with the loot and the progression system. What are some of the lessons you learned from the first game that you're trying to apply in the Division 2 to keep the people engaged and, to have them fun?
Right. I mean, I think availability of loot is something that, yes, definitely evolved greatly during the first Division. And so we've taken all of the information from that and applied it to day 1 of the Division 2. Mm-hmm. We've we've tackled this with an endgame first mentality. We want players to be able to enjoy the story at their own pace, but once they hit level 30, we need a lot of activities for them to do as well. So that was our primary focus, was just making sure that not only was the core experience of the Division 2 amazing and enjoyable, but that once you've completed that, there was loads of activities for you to continue afterwards. So that's one bit. Did I answer? Do you want me to go into more detail about it?
If you want to go in more detail, maybe some of the areas you improve in the end game, because in the last game, the first iteration of it, it was just the Dark Zone, no? The Dark Zone was the main focus of the end game. Now, what are you guys doing in the end game part?
Well, so about day 15, we're going to introduce an end game faction, the Black Tusk, and these are some real bad dudes. Like they've got gear comparable, if not in some cases better than Division agents,
okay.
And they are here to take over DC. Shortly thereafter, we're going to introduce 8-player raids. So this is a first for the franchise, having 8 players at the same time to tackle this dungeon. It's very difficult. I've not beat it yet, but I'm looking forward to getting in with my friends outside of work and tackling this content. So you've got that. You've got all the different gear that's available at day 1. You've got the specialization system as well. So we've got organized PvP on day 1. There's loads of activities that came eventually in the Division 1's life cycle that we've started out with. And we're not going to stop there. We've got a full year 1 plan ahead of us as well for introducing free content to the players who bought the Division.
Speaking of the 1 year plan, what are your plans with DLC? We receive with joy the fact that your guys are doing free DLC for the Division. What's your mentality with DLC this time around?
Well, like I said, we wanted to keep it fresh. We wanted to make sure that we had something for players to do for as long as they want to after the launch of the game. So episode 1 is going to introduce expeditions, which are you're going sort of outside of DC to check out some different areas. Episode 2, you're going to the Pentagon, which is pretty exciting. I've never been there. Many people in America have never been there. What's inside? Nobody knows. And then episode 3, can't talk about that yet. But there's in between there are going to be other things that we're doing. I mean, the first 2 months and obviously forever on the title, we're going to be focusing on the health of the game. One thing that we learned from the Division 1 is that no matter how much preparation, how much testing you do as a developer, day 1, when you release that game, you have more people have touched and played your game infinitely than you ever could have prepared for as a developer. So problems are going to arise. Luckily, we have a very good community team. We have a very vocal community of gamers as well who will tell us what's wrong. Who will say, hey, you should think about doing this, or hey, maybe do some more of this, or I like this, or I don't like this. So it's a process. It's like a relationship. We need to all talk to one another, and we can fix what we can fix, and we'll be very vocal about what we are going to address. But we need the community to tell us what they would like addressed as well.
Perfect. Great to hear. And finally, on a more personal note, James, what are some of the parts of the Division 2 that you're personally more excited about?
I mean, when the first game came out, I took 3 days off of work with my friends before I worked at Ubisoft, and we played through the game. I was fascinated with the Dark Zone. Just the fact that you could be just shooting some dudes, collecting loot, doing some extractions, then all of a sudden you meet another player and you don't know if they're going to shoot you or if they're going to also extract some gear, but it's just kind of this, I don't want to get too close to
the danger of it,
the tension of the Dark Zone is like one of the things that I love the most about the Division. So, and I'm not I don't grief players. I like to be in the Dark Zone. I like to be around the action. Maybe I'll rescue a player if he's in trouble, but I really like the feeling that the Dark Zone brings, and now there's 3 of them, so that's even better.
Cool. Well, thank you, James, for the interview, and para toda la gente que está viendo o escuchando esta entrevista, pues The Division sale ya el 15 de marzo, ya debería estar disponible para el PlayStation 4 y Xbox One, así que la gente que quiera jugarlo, pues bueno, ya lo puede hacer. Pruébenlo, se ve que va a estar interesante. Thank you, James.
Thank you very much.
Todo el contenido de Tres Gordos Bastardos es en parte posible gracias a su apoyo en Patreon. Ustedes son a toda madre, banda. De igual forma los invitamos a darse una vuelta por nuestra tienda en Kichín, que está llena de parafernalia cargada de gordeo. Reiteramos nuestro agradecimiento a todos nuestros Patreons del mes de marzo, entre los cuales se encuentran Negi98, Maximiliano Yael Pano Orozco, Tony DG, Dart Saga, Jorge Valdés, Miguel Kevin Soto Ávila, Dan Ochoa, Caballo CR, Andy Mick y Fabián Medellín Martínez. Muchas gracias, banda. Nos vemos a la próxima.